Hello everyone and welcome to my review and look at endless mode of Papers, Please. I have been meaning to record this for a few days now, haven't gotten the chance, but I wanted to do something a bit more formal reviewy of Papers, Please than what I did in my quick look that I did before. Now that I have completed the story and have unlocked endless mode, I felt this was a good time. So for those of you who don't know, endless mode comes in three ways. You can either do timed, where you process as many travelers as possible in 10 minutes, perfection, where you get a game over at your first penalty, and endurance, where you get to play until your balance goes negative. So, in addition to this, you get your choice of how many papers you want in order to have filed. For the sake of this review, I am going to be playing a timed match, which I will use the lowest amount of papers. The reason for this is because I would like to focus on commentary about the game instead of commentary reviewing the game instead of focusing on, trying to talk my way through all these different documents. And by the point that you get to when you beat the game, these earlier amounts of papers are pretty easy to get through. So, without further ado, we are going to jump into our endless mode, and I will talk about why I think the Papers, Please is one of the best games this year. So, the one thing that you'll notice in terms of Papers, Please is that the endless mode isn't unlocked until after you complete the story mode. Process as many travelers as possible in 10 minutes, 1 point per traveler. Lose 30 seconds for each citation. Check rulebook for rules in effect. Okay, so obviously we have wanted criminals. What rulebook do we have? They must have a passport. All documents must be current. No weapons or contraband. Citizens must have ID card, entry permit, and work pass. So this is pretty early game type of stuff, except we do have that wanted list. I believe that's Vince Lestrade right there, from the storyline, which happens pretty early on. So yeah, let's get underway here. So essentially, what is Papers, Please? That should be the first thing we talk about. Why is it something that has drawn such a big following and has been something that people are paying so much attention to? Well, to be simple, Papers, Please is a simulator of being a border control agent in a Cold War era-esque Eastern European nation, where you are tasked with checking the documents and letting people enter who deserve to enter the country. Citation, missing work pass. But yeah, so he's going to be transit for 2 days. Good. So yeah, the thing that you want to remember with Papers, Please is that this is maybe not something for everyone, but I think there is something for everyone here, if that makes sense to you. Essentially, while, you might not be into the gameplay by looking at it and watching it, because I could definitely understand that it is something that is, when you're looking at it, not playing it, it does seem kind of slow and not that interesting. But at the same time, what you find when you get into the game is that if you let yourself be drawn into the game's world, matching data, okay, I thought that was a woman. But when you let yourself get drawn into the game's world, you start to see a lot more of what makes this game special. When you're playing through the story mode, there are up to 20 endings, according to the ending screen I got. I have not experienced all 20 yet. But there are up to 20 endings, which allow you to see a bunch of different options. Some of these are something longer. Some of them are things like, Krastovsky, good deal. He looks good to me. So yeah, some of these things that you'll run into in the story are big branching decisions. I won't go into spoiler-laden territory, but there are certain characters who will come up and offer you different things in terms of bribes or otherwise to let them through, and you have to decide if you think that it is worth letting them through. Matching data, okay, just wanted to make sure. He is definitely not female, though. So, yes, you want to make sure that... real quick, I'm going to click this box because this is going on YouTube and I don't want to risk getting in any trouble for it, although I don't think I would. Um, you want to pay attention to... Oh, it is a female. Okay then. Touche, lady. Touche. So you want to let yourself be drawn into this world that the game creates, and you will find something entirely different than what you expect from looking at it to begin with. Which is that if you get into the storyline, you start to see a lot of things that make you have to really think about what you're doing. Oop, I need to first pull this out of here. You know, when someone comes up to you and offers you a bribe, are you going to accept that bribe and risk getting in trouble, or are you going to try your best to stay steady and worry more about your family's well-being by way of keeping track of everyone, making sure that everyone has the proper documentations and you avoid citations at all costs? Or are you going to focus on trying to help people, letting them through even if they don't have the proper documentation, even if it hurts your family? There are a lot of those kind of decisions throughout the game where if you let yourself get pulled into the game's world, you will see a very different world than just watching it and, looking and seeing, well, I don't know if this is really something all that interesting. Once you really do get into it, it does change a whole lot into something really special. The storyline itself is very good. Throughout the whole thing, I did want to keep going and see what the game was going to throw at me next. See what the results of different things were. We got a citation there, invalid issuing city. It was a proper city, just further on country then. This one, Emma Murray. Let's see, everything looks accurate. So obviously as you go through, the main purpose of the game, by the way, just to get this out in the open, is to check over all these documents and look for any conflicting data. As you start out the game, you're going to be very slow at this. You are going to need to be checking your rulebook to see if the issuing cities are correct. You are going to need to be checking the rulebook to make sure that you know what all you have to make sure they have. These type of things are things that by the end of the game, with how complex it gets and how much it builds up, become almost second nature to you. You'll still make mistakes occasionally, but because you have to worry about so much and you're trying to hurry through them so much, you do start to find yourself able to pick things out here that you wouldn't notice right away before. And you start to develop your own certain patterns to look through things. You start to develop different ways to handle situations. And this is really what makes Papers, Please stand out and shine. Not only is this I would have to say, completely original idea on a game to make, but it is also something that is almost entirely well designed to the point of pulling you into the game, no matter if you mean to or not. What I mean by that is, as much as you may think the gameplay isn't that great at first glance, you would be remiss to not at least give the free beta a shot. Because what is in here, what you find when you are playing the game in full, or even playing the beta, is that there is a lot more to this game than first meets the eye. So, you don't want to just write it off because you think that it doesn't look all that interesting. You want to get in there for yourself and let yourself be drawn into this world that has been crafted so well. You'll notice that the game is very minimalistic for the most part. The most detailed thing you're going to run across is the character models that you are looking at, the people who you're actively interacting with. Everyone else is shown as a shadow in the distance that is nameless, faceless, all that, until they get up to your booth. Which creates a feeling that you are definitely able to distinguish where, Ulrich's guard, that is both correct, and I believe that High Hand is an impor. But yes, you do find yourself in a situation where you aren't just noticing the graphics because of any one thing in particular, but you're noticing that there are a lot of faceless people that mean nothing to you throughout the daily days. But once they get up to your booth and they are someone who you're actively interacting with, you find yourself seeing a lot more of them. and you find a lot more detailed look that allows you to start to kind of see the characters as more than just those faceless things that you see in the distance. Entry permanent had an invalid name, my bad. So working for a few weeks, a month is a few weeks. These names all match up. She is female. I don't see her on the bulletin over here, at least I don't think that's her. This all looks good to me. So yeah, you know, if you don't let yourself get drawn into the game and notice the things like how empty everything else seems except for what's in your booth, then you won't see the differences caused by things like the metagame of dealing with your family, where you are able to... Entrants must have a passport. You don't have a passport. 11 points, not that great. I'm ranked number 185 though. That's not bad, especially considering I was doing commentary over the top of it, not directly related to what I was doing. So, the other big part of the game is that you have this overarching metagame of your family that you see every night, and you have to purchase, you have to pay rent and then purchase food, heat, or medicine as much as possible to try to keep them alive and healthy. This becomes very challenging as the game goes on. And not only does your rent have the possibility of increasing, but you also have to worry about the well-being of your... but you also have to worry about if, you know, as documents get more and more, and you don't process as many people, you are going to not have enough money to afford to keep your family alive. And while your family is also nameless, this is something that is a little bit different than the namelessness of all those people in line, in the fact that you know that your character is directly connected to these people. They aren't just random faceless people, they are faceless people who are important to your character. And that changes a lot. So as a whole, to break this down here at the end of the video, I want to go through real quick with just a few bullet points, so to speak, of why this game is so good to me. The storyline is greatly written. It draws you in, it keeps you wanting to see more. It makes you make honestly tough decisions for your character. The graphic look is wonderfully done. The minimalistic style of everything outside the booth draws you into the world where all that matters is the person currently there, and you do start to... And it does allow you to start to maybe see these characters who are at the booth as more important than anything else on the screen right then, which causes you to have more difficulty making decisions. The recurring characters you're going to run into are all very well developed, especially I think, at least from my experience, what seems to be one of the fan favorites, if you play the beta even, Georgie. These characters who are recurring are very well designed, and really, as time goes on and different things come up with them, you do wonder if you've made a right decision or not. So, in conclusion, what I have to say about Papers, Please is simple. If you haven't tried this game, at least go check out the free beta. I highly recommend buying the game. I give it a full recommendation. This is one of my favorite games that has released this year, and there have been a lot of games that came out this year, all of which were very good. But Papers, Please is something that takes an original idea and doesn't just stop with the basics, but creates a world that you can come into and really feel yourself be a part of. And that changes it from something that is a bureaucracy simulator into something that actually makes you feel for these characters and draw you in. It is well worth the $10 it currently is on Steam. I will post a link to its Steam page in the description of this video, of course. And it's hard to describe what makes this game so great without having experienced it. That's why I recommend trying at least the beta that was released for free before the Greenlight campaign. Because if you can play that and not be at least a little bit intrigued, then maybe this game isn't something that's going to catch you. But if you are at all intrigued by that beta, if you think the gameplay is as awesome as I thought I did when I played through it, if you think that the way that it makes you draw into the situation is as good as I felt when I played the beta, then you are going to find something in the full version that is well worth the $10 and is going to provide you several hours of play, not even counting the endless mode. That's just to get through the story mode in one storyline. To get through multiple storylines, it's going to take you even longer than that. So I'd like to thank you guys all for watching. I hope you enjoyed what is kind of my first formal review, since my last attempt had turned into more of a quick look. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will hopefully be seeing a lot of you telling me your thoughts on Papers, Please, because I feel that it is a game that I haven't really heard any discrepancy on the fact that it's so great yet. And I'm curious if there is anyone out there who doesn't like it, to hear your feedback, because right now, as far as I'm concerned, this is a top contender for Game of the Year. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Later, everyone.